There's so many life experiences out there, and we can learn so
Yes.
much from them, even if we don't see eye to eye with politics or whatever it is.
Right.
Um, it's a massive driver of what we're building. Like we think authors hold the key to what we
Yeah.
need right now.
Hello, and welcome to Story Power, a bi monthly podcast I created because I'm an unabashed story lover. Stories have had a huge impact on my life, starting with the family movie night discussions my parents instituted when I was a child. I want to share that love with you. As cognitive scientist Roger C. Shanks says, humans are not ideally set up to understand logic. They are ideally set up to understand stories. I'm making it my mission to not only spread the love of stories, but all the valuable things they teach us about human nature and relationships. We humans are emotional creatures, and stories help us examine our emotions from a comfortable distance. They also help us walk in the shoes of the characters to help us see the world in new ways. It's my hope you gain some valuable insights from my guests.
Hello, Story Power listeners. Today I'm talking to David Gutierrez, and David and I met on Prolific Writer's Life. If you're a writer, go check them out. And David is an author, but partly he and I were just talking, partly the reason he created his company, Non-Fungible Book Club, which is all about audiobooks, is because of that book. So, David, I'm so happy to talk to you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Lucinda. I've been looking forward to this for weeks now.
Me too, me too. Because I'm hoping that I can use your company to do my own audiobooks.
Awesome.
So, so how long has your company been going? And I wrote down a couple of things from the website that I wanted you to explain.
Sure.
You have these little check marks. Own your books, which I think means for the readers, right?
It can mean for both.
Both.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm happy
And
to
then
share about that, but go on, go ahead.
yeah, and then get paid to listen and then support authors you love. So, yeah, go ahead. I'll let you tell it in any way you want to tell it.
Sure. I think originally you asked how long the company's been functioning, and
Yes.
um, so the 2020 pandemic granted me a bunch of time, and
Oh,
so I
yeah.
learned some computer programming skills. I've been a lifelong writer and wrote a book and thought like, oh, what do I do with it? I'll just make this little audiobook platform and try to sell it directly. So that was in 2020. It took me about a year to learn programming. 2021, really 22, launched a very rough mock-up of the current kind of site we have and launched my book on there. Um, and did pretty well and was excited to interact and build a community around the book. And I thought, boy, like this would be pretty great for other authors to have. And so that sort of took us into that, from 2023 until now, sort of ramping up to the application that we have now at nfbclub.com. So it's been a long
Oh,
path and kind of a choppy, my original thing was just sell my book, and then it became this bigger idea of like, hey, let's enable authors, across the world to sell their book directly.
yeah, and it looked like, I mean, you have mock-ups of book covers on your website. So, how many books do you have that authors have used your
Yeah.
service to make their audiobooks?
Yeah, so we have our catalog right now is over 350 books, but the majority of them were public domain. So we sort of got,
Oh,
I won't bore you with the history, but we got some sources of grant funding to show off some of the
oh,
tech we were using.
uh-huh.
And we had to have things on the site and sort of go through a
Oh,
gamut of beta testing and data
oh,
collection. So in short, we did that with public domain books and garnered a community, got some following, enabled some
Mhm.
grant funding. Um, but really, as of the end of 2025, the current iteration that's
Mhm.
um, really functioning very well, serving some new authors, is up. So since we've launched, we have onboarded 8 authors. I think we have 2 going through narration right now,
Mhm.
and about 40-ish in the pipeline that are in sort of different stages of onboarding. So
Oh,
yeah, it's starting to pick up steam a little bit.
so it's growing. Oh, wow, that's cool. Now, um, I did meet one of your staff members when I was in one of your prolific
Yeah.
writers life sessions. How many people do you work with?
So there are 3 founders on our team. You met Aaron, who is
Yes.
our sort of sound engineer. He does a
Hmm.
lot of the narration oversight. Um,
Hmm.
Darren, his twin brother, is on the team as well, and they're both based in the Bay Area, and then myself here in Sacramento, California. So 3 of us functioning. We have a sort of media person we've been working with now. He's really great. His name's Paul. He's been doing our Author Spotlight series, which
Oh.
is just a YouTube channel dedicated to highlighting the authors or sort of associations or groups that we work with. So
Mm.
there's really 4 of us, plugging away at this point on a
Hmm.
day-to-day basis.
Wow, that's cool.
Hmm.
Oh, that's so great that it's grown. And oh man, I tried to write some grants. I'm not good at that, so that did not work for me. But I applaud you for that. That's great. And like now, did you have to develop software? Is that what I understood the grant was about?
So yeah, it's kind of cool. So we all love paper books. Obviously, it's where we
Mm.
all get started, right? It's our familiar and our intimate body, the way that we work with our body of work. Um, there are a lot of benefits to audio streaming for the environment. And
Mhm.
so we worked with a tech foundation to say, like, what would happen if we tracked um, carbon offset and timber offset and water offset for the folks that are streaming books. And so for the past 2 years, well, really year and a half, we built up this sort of data side that collects every page you read, we translate it into, every minute you stream, we
Mhm.
translate it into pages read,
Mhm.
that then bolsters like this big data set of like how much have we offset for our environment by just engaging with audiobooks. So that enabled us to grab a lot of grant funding from this organization, helped us contract a team of real developers like our software dev
Mhm.
firm to
Mhm.
kind of move past my like self-development site into
Mhm.
what we have now, that's like
Mhm.
more like market ready, ready to serve authors. So
Yeah.
it's been a road, kind of working in that grant system, and it's been great, really great.
Oh man, that is great. Wow, yeah, I didn't even think of that. Because I almost exclusively read ebooks because we have books in almost every room, bookshelves in almost every room of our house, and they're all full. I don't have
Hmm.
room for physical books anymore. So I have a lot of ebooks uh waiting to be read
Hmm.
and some that I've read. And so, yeah, audiobooks I guess I need to try to get into audiobooks, but I'm one of those people that I'm listening, and then somebody, one of the characters says something, and my mind goes off on this tangent. And I go, now wait a minute, what happened back there? And then I lose what, you
Hmm.
know, I have to go back to catch up what I lost. So, so I don't do that very often. Although Barry, my husband, likes to read the book, read along with the audiobook.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
a lot
doing
of
that
folks do
with
that.
one. Yeah, that's what, and I thought, oh, maybe I should do that because he's doing that with one of our books for our book club group that you and I were talking about before we started this. And yeah, so I think I might try that first.
Yeah.
Uh, Although one of my guests that I had, a couple, 2 or 3 years ago, had this wonderful book that is a well, it might be like a high school kid, middle grade to high school. And it's about this young woman in the Depression era. And so I listened to that audiobook, and the audiobook narrator was so wonderful. It just really was great.
Yeah, it matters. It matters. I mean,
Yeah.
we're listening to a journey and an adventure, and some voices really, really deliver that experience. And yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think it's huge when you're considering
Mm-hmm.
your sort of audiobook as an author. You definitely want to like listening to it yourself. I think
Yeah,
that's the key, because
really.
if you like listening to that book, others will. You know,
Yes.
I always encourage people to sort of move the samples around, see what your friends think about, listening to this voice versus that voice, and because
Right.
it is big, it can make a difference. I always point back to Edgar Allan Poe. There was an audiobook, and it was on our early version of our platform, and it
Mm-hmm.
was Edgar Allan Poe's a sort of a volume of poems. And Poe's amazing. He's been super influential in my life. I couldn't listen to it though. I could not get behind the way that the narrator was speaking. And
Oh,
um, again, it just kind of highlights, like, it really matters how the book is delivered. And we
mm-hmm.
always try to coach authors on that path because it's a big choice, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. Because the author might be satisfied with it, but maybe the list their friends or
Yeah.
people that don't like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Pick some real good critics, people that are real honest in your life, and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
can you listen to this? Because it's, most of these books are like a 8 to 10 hour listening experience. And
And if you
you
don't like the voice,
yeah, it doesn't matter how good the book is. If that voice can't deliver, it's gonna fracture that experience a little bit, you know?
yeah. Now, so did you have somebody else do it? Because isn't Poe in the public domain?
Yeah, yeah, we were leveraging some public domain narration at the time. And so um we had learned an important lesson about sort of vetting the voices on the platform. This was at a way earlier stage, but
Yeah.
yeah, I got together with Aaron, the sound engineer, and was just like, hey man, we have to really be careful. Um,
Yeah.
because this matters a lot, and we learned a lot just from that one book.
Oh, yes. I think you're spurring a memory. I happen to love Lorna Doone. I've seen a mini series version of it. And I said, because I've read a lot of seen movies or seen the mini series, then go read the book. So I got the audio book from, I can't remember the platform. And I started listening to it, and it was like, I wait a minute. I don't get this. I mean, they were either reading it too slow or too fast, or I can't remember exactly what it was,
Yeah,
but I
the
had to stop.
cadence, and yeah, it's
Yeah,
very important.
it was also, I'm an actor, so it was really flat.
Yeah, you picked up on that, and that's huge. And um, especially now we're seeing a lot of books come out that are small little theater productions, really, like there's casts. We're working with an author right now. Her name's Melissa, and she booked a cast to do her book, and it's great. It has so much variation, male voices, female voices,
Mhm.
different inflections. um, some of the larger sort of publishers are now coming out with these like full production, and there's voice actors on there. These aren't
Right.
just flat readers. These are people that are passionately delivering. I remembered when I did my book, I was happy with my narrator. But my book has a lot of action sequences in it, and I wanted it to be more engrossing. And so I went back and I threw in sound effects through the entire book. And,
Mhm.
the sort of sample audience I sent both versions to were like, whoa, like this one feels alive. So, I mean, it
Yes.
makes a difference what you put in. And, um,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an author right now from Prolific Writer's Life that we're narrating for the platform, and he's requested some sound effects, and we're doing that for him. And it's,
Yeah.
just the small restaurant ambiance, glasses clinging, like it really settles you and brings you in
Yes.
there. It could do
Yeah.
wonders for focus and kind of brings it alive. So it's
Yeah.
an art form. I mean, it's its own art, the narration
Yeah.
portion.
And sometimes music underneath, because I had another guest who's a musician, but he's also written these they're for younger children. They're kind of fantasies, but he does all this music and
Hmm.
then there's a little bit of narration and there's music underneath it. And I thought, oh, it's like a movie. I kind of liked it. It was really fun. And he does these also, he's done some stage productions for younger kids with the music that he's written. And so that's like, oh yeah, I like that idea. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking about my novels. On the Oregon Trail, what kind of sound effects can we
yeah.
have? Thunderstorms or whatever. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I
just
love
like
it.
a slight bit of rain in the background makes a huge
Hmm.
difference, even in
Hmm.
transitioning from scene to scene. We're
Yeah.
doing that right now. Like we're throwing whatever we can behind authors. And right now we're implementing that sort of sound effect stuff in the
Hmm.
narration. It's going really well. I mean,
Yeah.
does a book need that? No. Like I listen to
Right.
several books with only the narrator speaking, but it's an enhancement that's really cool, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there is one
Hmm.
scene where they're fording a river and one of the wagons overturns and yeah.
You could
So
imagine.
the river.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh okay, yeah. Oh, I'll have to think about that now.
Yeah. It's fun.
Because I want you to do my books. Yeah, so y- um your book is done. Do you have any other books that you're writing that you're gonna also turn into audiobooks?
So yeah, the Punkz Awaken, that first book was always intended to be a series. I was going to do a novella series for sort of young adults and
Mhm.
that audience. Ironically, building this platform to launch my book has become now this like very intense process that takes most of my focus. But
Right.
I am on, I would say 75% done with the second book in the series.
Mm-hmm,
And I
mm-hmm.
do my best to I don't know if you've heard of Shut Up and Write. They're this really cool nonprofit. They sort of get authors together for, um, I think like it's like an hour and a half of just dedicated writing where you sort of check in at the beginning, tell folks, here's what I'm going to be working on.
Mm-hmm.
You write, and then you go at the end, hey, here's what worked well tonight, here's what didn't. Organization's called Shut Up and Write. They're a nonprofit. They're located in just about every city. You can find them on Meetup. But anyway, I do my best to attend those groups at least a couple times a month because it's the only time that I'm just like
Right.
here. There's nothing else to do. It's my computer, it's my story, and
Mm-hmm.
it's productive, especially when you're looking around the table and seeing a bunch of writers just getting down on their work. It's inspiring and focusing. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, and that's why when I was started on the first volume of my memoir, I went to the what do they call them? Words count
Mhm.
sessions. I did one on Monday and one on Friday. And those are only an hour long, but it gave me a time because
Yeah.
I'm like you. I have so many creative projects
Yeah.
that finding time to write is
Yeah.
hard to, and that's one of the things that I thought I would do when I'm with Barry at his conference, um, is start volume two because I already know what the focus for volume two is going to be.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
and
focus time. You're sort of out of your normal elements.
mhm. And I'll just be sitting in the hotel room.
Yeah, so why not set it by the window?
Right. Well, I will get to go and meet David Pogue's going to be there uh about his book about Apple. And so I will get to go to that session and take pictures of Barry talking to David Bogue.
Cool. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and some of the because Barry goes to this Tuesday night thing, and the guys, it's all a Mac, get
Yeah.
together. Mac Voices is what it's called. And one night he got to plug my podcast, Story Power, because I had
Cool.
talked to somebody about, they were talking about AI, and one of the authors I talked to wrote this series of books about an actual incident that happened with the NSA of creating this AI, and this was way back in the 80s, I think, or early 90s. And they sent it out thinking it was going to come back. Well, it never came back.
Oh, what?
And so his series of books is all this thing about AI, this
Wow.
lost, you know. And so Barry got to tell him about him, that guy, because Barry read all the books, and I've only read the first one so far, and and it was really fun. So I might get to meet the guys,
Right on.
talk about Guy Morris's book.
Yeah. I
Yeah, it
think
was really fun.
that's what I enjoy most about building this company I'm building is just getting that opportunity to meet so many authors, listening about their sort of journeys, what you just stated. I mean, how exciting is that to get that sort of personal scope on his work, that
Mhm.
connection with the author. I'm lucky enough to get hundreds of those, out at the
Yeah,
festivals and I mean here with you, right? Prolific Writers Life, all these organizations.
yeah,
It's it's great. Authors are just so important. I
yeah,
think that more so now than ever, we need this alternative to um, echo chambering and all that. So
right.
yeah, I feel very lucky to interface with so many folks.
Yeah, that's how I feel about my podcasting, because most of my guests lately have been authors in the last year or so, are authors. And so I get to read their books, but I also get to hear the story about how they got the idea for their
Yeah.
book and their writing journey. And yeah,
hmm
so
Yeah.
that's really fun.
We
That's really
launched
fun.
an author last week named Joanne Green.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She wrote a book called By Accident, A Memoir of Letting Go.
Mm,
And it's been incredible, like reading the book, but then speaking with the author. We're doing an author spotlight on her as well. Should be
mhm.
coming out likely early June, but um, her story was this, like she was this entrepreneur, very go-getter woman, always busy, her schedule, and she was in a car accident that forced a complete stop on her life. And it's this
Whoa.
sort of journey of her laying in the bed, coming to terms with everything that's changed for her and like how do you let go of all those things? When I spoke with her, I thought it was you know, um, a memoir of letting go. Sounds like someone passed away, and there's some of that in the book. But
Mm-hmm.
what she's talking about is letting go of that like
The
persistent treadmill
oh,
speed 8 energy that life had her on
oh yeah.
into this like new existence that's much slower. But again, just having the opportunity to meet somebody, there's
Yes.
so many life experiences out there, and we can learn so
Yes.
much from them, even if we don't see eye to eye with politics or whatever it is.
Right.
Um, it's a massive driver of what we're building. Like we think authors hold the key to what we
Yeah,
need right now.
exactly. Well, when I first started Story Power, it was very different. It was all about was talking to my former students and colleagues at the college and my college friends that I'd, you know, gone to college with. And it was all about what did you learn from the movies that you enjoy watching? Well, about a year into it, these were college colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
but they had started an oral history project in Douglas, Arizona, which is mostly people who have immigrated from Mexico. They still have family in Mexico, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
And So they were just calling regular everyday people in and recording their life story. Now,
Wow.
most of them said, "Oh, I don't have anything very interesting to say." but but these two women that I talked to said every life is so interesting, every story. And
Yeah.
that's when I thought, "Oh, you know what? Every life is a library of stories." And so that's when story power folk I changed my focus a little bit. And I started talking to visual artists and musicians, and that's also when I joined Podmatch, which is like I call it a dating service for podcasters. Um and and I met all these people, filmmakers. I met an Iranian filmmaker, uh and he was this young man. He was going to school, and I met this artist in France who, when her breasts developed, only one of them developed. And so she'd done this whole art series about the journey of what was she going to do about that, from
Yeah.
teenager to she was in her late 20s, I think, early
Yeah.
30s. And it's just so interesting to hear those stories. So
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're talking about. You just get to do it in a little bit different way.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like something you said really, really hit the point. These people in general think, oh, I don't have anything to say. I don't have a story, and that's just impossible. You can't exist 5 years on this planet without having a story, just 5 years, right? And
Hmm.
I think of my daughter and the surgeries she's had, and like, you know, being an older sister and being a younger sister and being who she is, that's 5 years of life. There's already stories there. Can she tell it? Maybe not quite yet, but
Eventually.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's something that we need more than ever. More storytellers and more
Oh,
people
yeah.
willing to not just willing to write the stories, but able to forge paths with them that are viable, like economically viable and fair. And I
Hmm.
think that's what we're trying to do in a lot of ways. It's one thing to support writers, and it's another thing to make sure that they earn what they deserve too.
Yes, definitely.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because, I went on this tirade rant, sort of, when we were doing Films for Writers, because I host Films for Writers of the last Friday of every month. And I am so tired of the bean counters ruling the world.
Yeah,
I'm just so tired.
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah.
it's
When
just,
when you're serving, yeah, I could go on about it, but essentially, yeah, it's like the folks that create actual value are being separated from it
mhm,
systematically, and it's
mhm,
happening in our industry as well. And I think
mhm,
I fully expect to see more companies like the one I'm building that are trying to build in opposition to some of
mhm.
those strategies. So I don't think we're going to be unique pretty soon. I think that's going to be exciting to see more and more groups realize that, hey, look what you've done here. You have, I think, over 30 episodes, right? You have your sort of network. I was watching the episodes with your sister about film. Is that your biological sister, or is that?
Yeah, I'm the oldest. I'm 13 years older than she is. She's the
Yeah,
youngest. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Eh,
Story Power has 150. In fact, I forgot what episode you are, 150 something.
mhm.
Yeah, of Story Power, because it's almost 6 years old. But yeah,
Yeah,
what were you
look
going
at
to say
what.
about that?
Well, I was just gonna say that the technology's granted you this ability to really like expand your network, meet all these people,
Mm-hmm.
highlight stories, grow stories. I
Mm-hmm.
think right now there's an advantage to that for authors, in that we may not have to be as reliant on some of those bean counters as we used to. I think technology can enable us to sort of build organically
Mm-hmm.
across the web, not just in person.
Yeah.
I think it's huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's what I have been thinking about for, well, I started the second book. My first book I published in 2017. And when I finished the rough draft of that, I started the second book on the advice of the War of Art Pressfield. What's his first name? Um, he said that once you finish the rough draft, start the next book. So I was working on both books kind of at the same time,
Yeah.
but it took me a really long time to do that second book because the two timelines the women are involved in, they're women's movements. Well, it was easy to write the past, the story in the past, because that's already done, but there was nothing for Jenna to do in the present. And so I it took me a really long time to write it. And so, but as I was going along talking to all these authors, it was like, oh, they had those same kind of difficulties,
Yeah.
you know? And it was like, oh, yay. Whew, I guess
Yeah.
I'm not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've gathered sort of that community, that feedback community, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you have a literal platform to promote your
Mm-hmm.
work when it's ready. I mean, that's all
Mm-hmm.
to us, that's what technology should do. Technology should enable the creators to expand their processes in
Yeah.
inexpensive ways, you know?
Yeah, and I started off to say that I'd been searching for a way to market my book and promote my books with that was not scuzzy or sleazy. And then when I went to the Prolific Writer's Life session about marketing, the discussion about marketing and promoting, the leader said, "Oh my gosh, you've got this built-in thing." And I went, "Oh, I never thought of it like that
Yeah.
before."
Yeah, you've created such value for so many people, and you could create value for your ideas within that community. Um,
Hmm.
you've been giving your time,
Hmm.
creating exciting content, and I mean that's just yeah, that's a perfect little parlay into what you're building, behind the scenes of that podcast. So I mean, I think it's great. I think every author right now has that opportunity
Hmm.
with the internet, and I think that it's going to be a challenge to the big box and the bean counters um,
Hmm.
if we can leverage this to grow.
Yeah, and I've talked to musicians who sort of do the same thing. They publish their own work on YouTube or wherever,
Hmm.
and they kind of bypass the big, you know, record companies.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think it's
yeah,
going that way. Feels like
yeah.
it's going that way.
That's why we built what we built. We want to give authors a chance to sell directly to
Mhm.
their fans, control their pricing. We know that's a big one. We know some of the bigger groups will just flip your price down to half off fire sale or 99 cents today without any interaction. And we just think there's an alternative to that. Let's let the authors sell directly to fans. Let's let them keep the majority of the revenue,
Mhm.
and let's give them control of the pricing, control of their work, ownership. You asked that question earlier. That's what it means to us when it comes to the authors we're serving.
Yeah.
You know, own what you wrote, gain from
Right.
it non-exclusively. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I wanted to know about get paid to listen.
yeah.
Uh,
Super foreign concept. So what we are designing and developing, and it'll become more and more true as we sort of scale up. But we call ourselves a book club, non-fungible book club, for a reason. We want this to be a community where folks interact with books in different ways. We want to foster sort of conversation amongst the authors and the fans that are listening. And what you talked about, this getting paid to listen. So we talked a little bit about that eco grant we're involved with.
mhm.
Um, so what we do, that grant gives us this monetary token that we leverage on our ecosystem to buy more books, right?
Mhm.
So if you come through and you listen to one of our books that has this sort of grant initiative on it, you'll get opportunities to claim some tokens as you listen, as a
Mm-hmm.
reward for sustainably engaging in literature, carbon
Mm-hmm.
offsetting, timber, water offsetting,
Mm-hmm.
and you can spend those tokens on the books that we have on the site. So it's this sort of like free reward system that
Oh,
our listeners can engage with. So
oh,
it's
cool.
yeah, and we try to put that incentive on a lot of our authors' books because it increases how people are finding authors.
Mm-hmm.
Some folks want to collect those tokens and get as many books as they can. And if it's an author that, hey, maybe I'm interested in their ideas, I'll pick their book up because I can also earn these tokens
Mm-hmm.
with it. It's just the way we can get behind authors as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we know that as we build and libraries build, we're gonna do a lot to engage readers more than just like the badge of, oh, you spent an absurd amount of money on our platform, like some of these big platforms go
Mm-hmm.
off and do, but more into, hey, you're a super fan of this genre. Let's connect you with the kind of authors that are writing in this genre and maybe give you some special perks and access to those authors.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to form. I think that the internet has accidentally become very disenfranchising and separated because it's become very transaction based. And
Mm-hmm.
we're trying to build something that feels more like that bookstore, but it's online and there's real
Yeah.
community there, and people are having their small wins, engaging in different ways, and having access to their communities and their authors in ways that they haven't before. So that little mechanic is just one thing we're doing right now, but we intend fully to expand into a suite of like really engaging sort of rewards for readers.
Wow. Yeah. So you're doing all kinds of thinking ahead, thinking how you can improve the company, thinking how you
Oh
can
yeah.
improve what you offer to the
Yeah.
listeners and to the authors. And
We're listening all those authors that I get to speak to, and all the community members when we were doing public domain,
Mhm.
all those ideas are wrapped into anything we develop. You know, if
Oh
we
yeah.
hear, we track what we hear. And if
Yeah.
we hear this over and over again, I wish somebody would solve this. I wish somebody would solve this. We take that very seriously because we're trying to build the first audiobook ecosystem for authors and communities, not for
Right.
shareholders, not for subscription holders, not for blah, 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 for authors and their communities. And we have to listen to what people want. And so,
Right.
yeah, a lot of thinking ahead and really tracking what people are saying,
Yeah.
you know.
Now, um, do you have a newsletter for your site?
We do. Yeah, you can sign up on it. It comes out you can sign up for the newsletter on the site, is what I meant to say,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes out monthly. We do a lot of updates in terms of like where we are. I know that we're going to the Bay Area Book Festival at the end of this month. I'm sure that'll hit the May June letter at the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure this will make the newsletter as well. Just different engagements that we think are special and
Mm-hmm.
people would want to know about.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I noticed that on the Prolific Writer's Life, there was a newsletter thing, and I said, "Now, is that the Prolific Writer's Life newsletter, or is that his newsletter?"
It
So,
is the prolific writer's life. On the
so
expert page, yeah,
yeah, but yours is on your website. So,
correct.
and I will have the website
nfbclub.com.
in the. Oh, I'm sorry. Say that again.
Oh, sorry, nfbclub.com. That's where you can get our newsletter if you scroll down to the bottom.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
So of course, I will have that link in the show
cool.
notes.
Awesome.
But it's always good for you because some people are learn more auditory, and
Yeah.
some people do visual. And yeah. Okay, cool. Do you have anything you want to say that I haven't asked you or that we haven't talked about yet?
Um, I think I think overall just I would just want to sort of highlight and express how important literature is to me. I mean, I think that it comes in different forms. We've talked about reading. We know that we probably heard our first stories in our ear from our mom or dad or grandma or grandpa. For me, it was my dad. That led into reading for me like books like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe with my sister, right? and finding these like really key moments of my life that books unlocked. And um, today's sort of like consumer blitzed advertising, everything in your face, short content, sort of orators telling you what you should probably think about something. We need to explore ideas in a panicked fashion right now, and anything, any idea shift I've ever had in my life has come from a story, a book, right? Some sort of storytelling media where I get access to someone else's brain, and maybe
Mhm.
it's embedded in fiction, or maybe it's a straight up history book or direct memoir.
Mhm.
But nonetheless, like I just want to highlight that what you're doing is so important. What Prolific Writers is doing is so important.
Mhm.
I'm hoping what we do is very important to really push power back to authors and put them back in the ways that they can earn, that they can grow and expand their career, because anybody dedicated enough to sit there and work through that labor of writing has something to say. And
Mhm.
in a world of echo chambers, we need new ideas. We need personal stories. We need folks to relate to one another. Um, so yeah, if I could just highlight anything, it's simply to say that like I'm thankful for people like you, Lucinda, and everybody in our community, of course, that are willing to keep pushing. Um,
Mhm.
because the TV's loud right now. You know?
Yeah, well, the cool thing is you can turn off the ones that you don't want to listen
Yeah,
to. But yeah, I mean, my background's in theater, so of course I've read really ancient plays and well, and religious studies was my first degree. So lots of myths, really ancient myths and that kind of thing. And when I was getting my master's of education, I don't know why it didn't occur to me until then, but something I read said, stories are the oldest teaching tool.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, yeah. And here we have millennia of stories
yeah.
that we could be accessing,
Hmm.
and sometimes we don't think to do that. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, any idea that's too complex to just tell my kids, it's always embedded in some story. Like there's always
mhm,
some hero that shows that potential in the human spirit, or something, an ability to think quite differently or act differently when it's warranted. Um,
mhm,
I don't try to tell that idea straight. It's like if I win this idea through your heart, through this story, through this character, you're gonna remember it. You're gonna
yeah,
remember it for years and years and years.
yeah, the emotions.
Yeah,
Of course, I'm
storytelling.
an actor, director, so, or at least I used to be. So now I'm just all about emotions anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, wow. This has been really fun, David. Thank you so much for being my
Oh,
guest.
thank you for having me. This is great.
I hope you not only enjoyed this episode but gained something valuable to take away with you. If you like what you heard, please share it with your friends and give us a rating and or review. If you're a story lover too, I invite you to join my Patreon community at patreon.com/storypower, all one word. Or you might be interested in classic cinema with the Sage Sisters, a YouTube channel and Facebook page I started with my sister Celeste, where we choose one classic movie that we think still has lessons for us today. As you can see, I'm passionate about spreading the love of stories and completely believe what Philip Pullman said. After nourishment, shelter, and companionship, stories are the thing we need most in the world. Until next time, this is Lucinda Sage-Midgorden. Thanks for listening.